All right, folks, Scott Cohen here. Now we're going to take a look at those tax returns. This is Chapter 8. This is number 4 and 5. And these are the actual returns when you fill out the documents. Okay? So they ask you to complete page 1 and 2 of the 1040, Schedule 1, Schedule 2, and Schedule 3. And Form 6251, that's the alternative minimum tax. Okay? So let's go over here to page 1. So most of this stuff up here, this should not be a problem for you to fill in. Okay. They live in Miami, Florida. Married, filing jointly. They did not have any digital assets, they told you. They did have the one child, Samantha. Social Security number that they gave you, daughter. There's a child tax credit. So the income, the both of them combined, should be the $181. Then they had qualified dividends of $800. Okay, now remember, those are going to be at a different tax rate. Then they had this $3,450 here. That is, what was her name? Samantha? Sarah, is it? No, Sandy. That was Sandy's little side gig that she did. That's the net amount for there. So there's the total income. Okay. So their adjusted gross income is $175,020 AGI. Now remember, that's a big deal for a lot of these phase outs and stuff. Now, their itemized deductions, they didn't ask you to do it here, but it would be from Schedule A. But we calculated that earlier, and it's $46,000. Then they get a qualified business income deduction of $604. Okay? Again, that's a form they don't ask you to complete, but basically it's 20% of the $3,025. So the total here is $46,640. So their taxable income is $128,416. Okay? So all of these numbers, by the way, would have been from these calculations up above here. Okay? So like there's the 604. So if you've got any question, go back and take a look at those. Okay? Now let's take a look at page 2. Now on page 2, there's the tax and credits. Okay, so tax, this is the amount of tax that they have. Here, child care tax credit for the daughter. I think Samantha, I think's her name. $2,200. That's for 2025. $600. That's the child care tax credit. Not child care tax credit, but that's the credit that they get from watching the children. 20% of the $3,000 limit gives you $2,800. You subtract those. It's $15,244. Then self-employment tax is $459. And again, that calculation was up here above. Let me just scroll back to show you. Where's that 459 guy? Where are you? There you go. See where it says C Note A? That's right here. So again, $3,250 times 0.95%, not times 92.35 times 15.3 equals 459. So basically, that is her end of the Social Security tax. Okay? So what that is, that's the 459. So there's the total amount that they owe. They paid in $21,000, so they should get back $5,317. Okay? That's the basic return, and again, all of that was from the information up above. Now let's take a look. Schedule 1. These are additions to income. By the way, this was that state tax, okay? Remember, so they're itemizing. And if you remember the rule, because they itemize every year, that means they took, when the state gave them back that $200, that means they had made too big of a deduction the year before in 2024, so then it becomes income. That's that $200. This is the money that she made. That's the $4,000 in revenue, less the $750 she had in expenses, right? Down here, deductible part of self-employment, $230. So half of that $459, okay, they get to deduct that back. So $459 was the entire amount. Half of that $230 gets added in here. And then alimony paid, $10,000. Again, remember, the date matters here. The date has to do with, they changed the rule in 2019. Okay, so there's the total for Schedule 1. And notice it tells you to put this on line 10. And if we go back over here to page 1, line 10, There you go. There's that number. Okay. Let's go to Schedule 2. Okay. So Schedule 2, these are additional taxes that they have. This is that self-employment. This was, remember, so here's the whole amount, and then you have to add half that back in as income. Notice it says put this on line 23. So we're going to go over here, page 2, line 23, which is right here, 459. Okay. So again, 230 was added in, 459 coming out. Okay, or counted as a tax credit. Okay, now let's take a look. Last item we have here is Schedule 3. In Schedule 3, this is that credit for the child care of $600. By the way, that's limited to $3,000. And again, that was up here. Here you go. This is, and by the way, here's the phase out and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, AGI over 43,000, you get 20%. So 20% of 3,000 is $600. Okay. And then finally, the last item, let's go down here. Last item is 6251. This is alternative minimum tax. There's not a lot to change here. This is their AGI, okay? And so here it says filing schedule, otherwise enter the amount from 1040 on line 12, 16,600, and I think that's let's see. Filing schedule A from enter amount schedule line 7. Otherwise, line 12, we'll go back over here. What is line 12? Line 12 is 46,600, and this 16,000. Let me see this one here. 16,600 was enter the amount for line 12. Okay, folks, this 16,600. Let me show you what that was. Had to figure it out there real quick. That's on the itemized deductions. That is the state income tax and the property taxes. Okay, that gets added back in. Okay, for the AMT calculation. So basically, it's one of those deductions that they no longer let you have. Okay, when they're doing AMT. Here's the tax refund, the $200. So this is their taxable income, alternative minimum taxable income of 144, basically adding everything back. And it says here, you can see the calculation here. Number 5 says if you're, so they're married filing jointly, and line 4 is over. This is then enter on line 5. By the way, it says the wrong amount here. See this because it's a 2024 document. It says if line is not over, then enter 133,300. Notice they entered 137. Then subtract the difference between these two, and it's 7,816. Okay, and then it says, let's see here, number 7 for capital gains. So this is qualified dividends of 1944. Okay, so bottom line AMT is 1824, and they're already paying more than that, so you don't have to worry about it. Let me go take a look at this. Alternative minimum tax up here. Okay, all right, so here, there's a 144, so 128 plus this minus this gives you 144. There's the AMT exemption. By the way, this number was wrong on the tax return because it's a 2024 number. The difference between the two, and here, what the difference is here, this is those dividends they got at 15%. 800 times 15% is $120. $120 plus 1824 gives you 1944. Regular tax. So notice here it says line 8 regular tax is greater than line 7. So therefore they don't qualify for alternative minimum tax. All right, folks, those are the two videos for the Chapter 8 tax return number 4 and 5. I hope you find it helpful. By the way, don't forget to go back in, make the changes, and turn it in so you get credit. Talk to you soon.